back to the Week of Art Lessons. Even though you're not here in person, you're really in my hearts, and I still miss you a lot. So I'm just going to pretend you're here, and I'm talking to you as if you're right in front of me in real life. So we're in the classroom. It's a beautiful spring day. And like I said, we're going to continue our instruction on learning how to do still life. So last week we did the duck, the mallard. I haven't gotten any drawings from you yet. I hope that I can see some soon. But this week we're going to do this top copper tea kettle. That was a tongue twister. So this is an old copper tea kettle that belonged to my husband's mom, to Nana. And you can see that it has some really cool shapes, curves, very slight curves, and the color is this really cool copper color, although you have the choice of doing your own color. I had some students last year, and some of them are in my intermediate class right now, who are really good artists, and you know who you are, who did the copper tea kettle, just like this. So I'm going to post some of their drawings from last year so you can see the possibilities of what you can do from your imagination or from life, or combining what you see in real life with something that you can add to it from your imagination. So that's the most fun way to do art. So I am going to do my drawing now. I've got my Sharpie, I've got my paper, got my still life, and now I'm going to look at my still life, my tea kettle, for a while so I can really get to know it and really notice all the different curves and all the shapes. So for a starting point, just like we start with the eye of the animal, I'm going to make my starting point the knob on top of that tea kettle lid. And I'm going to place it, my very first line, over toward the right-hand side of the page, down a little bit from the top. I need to leave room for the handle, and I need to leave room for the spout over here on the left. So I think I'm going to put that little knob, a little curved line at the top of the knob right here. That's my starting point. It may be a little bit too far over, but I'm going to just readjust it as I go along. Okay, from here, I'm going to look carefully at that knob and notice that it is symmetrical, and there are two curved lines that I'm going to make to define the outer edges of that shape. So it goes like this and down like that. So like I say to all my students, if I wanted it to be perfect and exact, then I would be a camera. And I'm not a camera, I'm an artist, and so are you. So it doesn't have to be identical to your object. You're going to try to define it, and your own personality is going to come through to make this look unique. It's not going to be the same as mine or anyone else in the group. Okay, so from here I've got that little knob, and there's other shadow shapes and other things, but I'm just doing the outline right now. So now I'm going to do the rest of the lid of the tea kettle. And so there's a line coming down, a curved line diagonally coming down on the left, and another curved line coming down on the right. And it is symmetrical, and those are not even and equal, but since I'm not a living camera, I'm just going to do the best I can and just try to make it so I like it. So I'm thinking about the teapot in Beauty and the Beast and how there's kind of a personality with that character. And so maybe my teapot and your teapot is going to have a cute little personality. Okay, so there's the lid. Now I'm ready to go on and do the rest of the body of this teapot. I'm just going to treat it like it's a living being, but I know it's an inanimate object. It's a still life. It's not moving around, so it really isn't alive, but I'm going to treat it as a funny thing. All right, so there is the beginning of that curved line that is coming down from the lid, and then it's going to come down at a diagonal, and then it's going to curve, and then it comes to the spout. Now I'm going to try to make this as symmetrical as possible. I'm going to do the best I can, and that's all we can do. So that one's longer than this one. I'm going to see if I can fix it. So you know how we do this sometimes we use whiteout if we don't like something. In this case, I'm going to learn how to see if I can incorporate this line that is not quite far enough over. This line isn't quite long enough, and that's something I'm going to see if I can fix by making this area into a shadow shape. So let's just see if this helps, if I make it go a little bit further. Okay, so I'll try to see if I can fake it and make it into a happy accident, because it's always kind of fun to do that. All right, so about this far down on the left is where the spout comes. So I'm going to head in this direction to the left, and I'm going to be making the spout. So it's going to go across and then up, and then it comes over, and there's a little mouth, kind of like a snake's mouth. You can pretend it is if you want to make it into a snake. And then it comes down, and I have to remember it's thicker in this area than it is up here. So I'm going to come down a little bit further, and I'm going to bring it across and stop. Okay, so there's my lid, there's my spout, and the handle goes up here. So if you're going to sing that song about the little teapot, short and stout, that would be all the different little parts that we're going to draw. All right, so I think it's about that height from right below the spout, something like that. All right, so the bottom of this tea kettle is actually not going to be a straight line. I'm going to curve it slightly, because as I look at it from here, it goes at a curve to show the perspective. So I'm going to curve it, try to make a smooth, curved, very slightly curved line, and make it go up a little bit, going to the back, showing the atmospheric perspective. Then I'm going to join the left side with that end of that curved line. And as I look more carefully at this, I see that there's another curved line, kind of a seam that whoever made this pot welded on the bottom. Or kettle, I should say. It's not really a pot. And then I'm going to make that double line. And then there's some other shapes and shadow shapes and everything that I'm going to put in here. But for right now, I'm going to do the handle. So as you can see, the handle has these cool curved shapes. They look kind of like the letter S, if you know how to write and do cursive lettering or regular lettering. One is like a regular S, and the other one is like a backward S. So that's one way that you can describe it. So as you can see, this teapot is a little bit, it looks kind of good on that side. On this side, maybe funky, but I'm going to see if I can fix that still, make it a little bit straighter. And we'll mess with that later. You can cover those kind of lines with color. and shadow and other things. Okay, so for the handle, I'm going to start on the left, and I'm going to describe the place where the handle is welded onto the pot, and it kind of goes like that. There's a little bit of a screw sticking up, and then it comes up. And you might want to do it a lot more simply, and that will still work. You don't have to do it with all the detail I'm doing, that I see. You're going to just do what you see and what you want to use. But this is my perspective. And then, so I've done the S that's facing in that direction. And now I'm going to do the place where it's screwed onto this little place where you hold your hand so you can take the kettle off the stove or the fire, since it was, looks like a kind of an antique. All right, left handle, and now I'm going to do the right hand side handle. And this is going to really help me hide this part that I don't like too much. Now, I just want to tell you that this is a video, and if you are behind and haven't caught up to this part, you can stop the video at any time so you can feel comfortable, you don't feel rushed, you don't feel pressured. You can take a deep breath and just go back. So if you need to do that, fine. If you want to continue with me, you can. So let's just keep moving on. We're going to do the left handle. And so it goes up. And you know, I'm paying attention to the handle, and I'm also paying attention to the negative space, which is around the handle, which helps me see the relationships between all of these lines. Some of them are dark. Some of them, these areas are lighter, these spaces. So it goes backwards, S, goes up and around. And let's see if this looks wonky or if it looks like it's going to work. Okay, let's see. I'm going to keep going. That looks okay. You know, a lot of these lines are going to be covered up by the colors, and I am not going to be concerned about that at all. All right. I'm going to move this over a little bit and make the line going up and the knob. It's not exact, but we just do the best we can, don't we? Yes, we do. Okay, so right next to that handle, we see this another handle that's made out of porcelain, and I'm going to go ahead and describe that now. It's like a long oval shape on that side, another long oval shape on this side, and I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with those lines that I made that don't look right, but I'm going to work it out. And then I'm going to go up. Ooh, that isn't too great. But I'm going to fix it. So a lot of what we're doing here is practicing. And this is the second time I practiced this one because I made a video yesterday that didn't get, that stopped. My camera just all of a sudden stopped. This is what mine looked like yesterday. So it kind of turned out better than the one I did today. So if you don't like what you're doing, you can always start over. I'm still going to use this one to try to see if I can make something beautiful out of it that I like. Even with all these lines that aren't exactly in the right place. So because I'm an artist, I have a way of fudging and changing and making things work. So we'll see if I can do that. And let me just go ahead and color in some of the shadow shapes that I see. This is all dark, and I'm looking to see where there's light shining. So over here, there's a little bit of light shining. So I'm going to define some of these lines. There's also a seam coming down. So a lot of these are lines that are reflections in the copper. So I'm going to leave some of these lines light, and up here it's very dark. So I like having the shadows, the shadow shapes kind of defined with my pen. You can define them with your pen if you want, or you can just define them when you put your color in, but there's a lot of different reflections. Or if you want, you can just go ahead and decorate and color this tea kettle just the way you want it, and you can make it colorful and bright and completely different than this. And that's what one of my students last semester did, or last year when we did this assignment. There's some dots, there's a lot of different textures on here from the copper. It's kind of really cool. So you can decorate it and create the kind of effect you want. And it does look like this to me. There's a lot of texture. So if you want to define yours realistically, or if you want it to look unique and colorful, you just go right ahead and do it. All right, so let's see. How am I going to finish this off? I'm going to make my horizon line right behind here. Like it's sitting on something. It's not floating in the air. And maybe I'll make a tablecloth or something that's sitting on. Maybe I'll make a window back here, looking outside the kitchen window, and put a scene, a landscape back there if I want. Maybe a little windowsill. Once again, if you want to do a ruler and have it really exact, you're welcome to do it. I'm just doing it kind of by eye, just eyeballing it, and you can see my lines aren't really that straight, but for the purpose of teaching, this is going to have to work. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this handle, and this is definitely all colored, very much colored in, so that'll help me make that look real, how I want to do it. What am I going to do about this? I just have to think about that. I might try to do something in the background with color. That might be what I do. All right. I'm going to keep some white showing there to show reflection, and a little bit white over here to show light reflecting on the side. Just going to color in with my Sharpie all the dark, dark, dark places, because that helps me with my composition. So a little bit is going to be darkened, and then some of it is I'm going to color in later. It's really dark right under here. hatching and cross-hatching. We learned about that. It's a great way with a pen to show your shadow shapes and to, instead of coloring in things completely, you can do hatching and cross-hatching. Artists do that all the time, and that's what you can do too. Some of you are getting really good at that. And it also, if you're using pencil, you don't have my problem. You can erase. But for those of you who are using pen, these are great ways that you can define dark and light places. Okay. So far, I still have to figure out this, and I think what I'm going to do is use color pencil to hide this line, and then back here I'm going to do some hatching and cross hatching to hide that. Let's see if I can do it all the way across and see if it works. It also highlights the shape and has it show up a little bit. Helps it show up. All right, so that's starting to not be as obvious. Okay, let's see. I think there's going to be a little bit of a shadow underneath here, and I'm going to do that with my color pencil. All right, I'm going to put the lid on my Sharpie and get ready to do coloring.